Hi Prachi and anyone who's watching this video. So I'm going to answer 3 questions related to making columns or column designs today. The first question is how to make column powder. The second is how to use the powder to make columns. And third is how to make a column design using a dot matrix or dots as a guide. So the first thing is how to make column powder. So believe it or not, yesterday for the first time I made column powder for myself. And what I did was I took a cup of rice and soaked it in water for about 2 hours. And after that I strained the water or drained the water and left the rice to dry for about 30 minutes. It will dry quicker if you live in a warm place or you have direct sunlight. And then I used a grinder to grind the rice into a pretty fine powder. So what I had read was that it needs to be a little coarse, but I wasn't able to control how coarse or how fine it was. So all I did was after every cycle after every grind cycle, I basically tried to put like some strokes with the powder. And when I was satisfied with the kind of powder I got and I was able to draw my columns, I stopped. So it took me about 4 cycles, but you can be assured you can just grind it down to a fine powder and not worry about it. And the last thing I had to do was I had to dry the powder out. The thing with column powder is that the reason you cannot draw columns with any powder is because they all have some sort of moisture, which you will discover only when you try to use it, and it'll like stick to your fingers even though you can't really sense the moisture in it otherwise. So yeah, but conventionally people used to put the powder out to dry for 2 days, and I don't have that kind of time, and I suppose even you're looking for something quicker. So I just dry roasted the powder in my tawa or in my pan, and I got this like yeah. And the last thing I did was put it in an airtight container because I don't want the column powder to become useless after a point because it picks moisture. So I'm going to store it in an airtight container so that it stays good for a longer period of time. So now is the second step, which is how to use the powder to make column designs. So just put some powder in a bowl, in an open bowl, and from which you can conveniently pick it to draw and to use it. And then use the first finger and your thumb and take a pinch of the powder between them like this, and turn your hand in this direction, like facing down, the fingers are pointing down, and then start rolling your thumb against your first finger. You see? Start rolling your thumb against your first finger. So it's like this, and you'll see that you'll release a bit of powder every time as you roll up. But it's pretty simple, I think. Yeah, you just move it like when you're sampling a spice or masala, you just move your fingers like that, and just do this a few times in the bowl itself. And once you feel like you're getting a hang of it, you just move to a surface. Here I'm just, you can use any surface. You can just put it on your floor. You can use a wooden pad. You can use a canvas like this. I did a canvas black to show you this. There are 3 building blocks of any column design. First thing I'm going to do is put a dot, and the second thing that I'm going to do, and you can do as well, is put a circle. If you think your circle has too many gaps, you can take another round. But the thing with this is, unless you're used to it, it's very hard to get the same strokes the second time, the exact same stroke the second time. So I tried it a few times, but so there's a dot, there's a circle, and now it's a line. So yeah, I'm just making like some sort of a pattern. Yeah, so try this out. The design I'm going to show you is the fish design, which I posted on my Facebook wall as well. So it begins with, you put a dot in the middle of the frame that you're working with, and then you put 4 dots in around it, and then you put 4 dots in the middle of the 4 dots you put previously, creating a circle sort of a pattern. And then next to each dot put 4 more dots in a line. And don't worry too much about how accurate it is, because it's your canvas, it's your art. You can be as free as the irregularities make it even more beautiful, I think. So yeah, so this is all we need to do this design, and as you can see, it gives some sort of a sun or flower sort of a structure. In fact, it looks very similar to this. But the magic of dot column designs is the dot pattern guides you to a completely new design. The first thing we need to do to start a design is use the last dot in every line and create strokes like this. Do observe that I have to turn a bit here and there depending on where I'm putting the strokes. When you do it on the floor, it's easy to get around and move in the other direction and then put your strokes. But when I'm working in a space like this, it's a little, it's not as easy. So I have to turn my face and use a different perspective. So after this is done, I will connect the first dot from the center with the 4th dot. And when I say connect, I don't necessarily mean join them, but I'm using the 4th dot as a reference point. But that's just because I'm looking at a particular kind of fish, but you can also connect it completely and do this. So it's up to you what kind of fish you want. Yeah, I know it looks too simple, but it is quite simple. All you need to know is how to drop or release the powder, and it's just, you can go places from there. Once the fish outline is done, I'm gonna use the first dot as a reference and do a line around the first dot. So which basically defines the face of each fish. It's almost a circle it's created, which is to connect the 2 dots that you would be able to see when you're seeing right now. Every fish, wherever I have connected it completely, the dot is slightly not that visible, but it's there, like it's basically this point. You could do whatever you want. You could also draw a circle around the dot if you like, or just draw like a straight line there. And finally, I'm going to connect the center dot with the mouth of each fish. So as you can see, I'm not that good at it even now, but that's not because it's so hard. It's just because I haven't been doing this. Like even when I did it, I was like looking for shortcuts, like I'll do it on a paper. I didn't really understand why my mother struggled so much to do this, and then I discovered that this is meant to feed those birds and little bees, and I thought it was so cool. And also I think I like doing this. So yeah, our design is ready. It's not perfect, but you can do whatever, and you can also put, if you want to put some turmeric in the gaps and spaces and make it your own, make it in your own way, you can do that as well. But whatever you do, please enjoy. I think this is a lot of fun, and it's